The way you say cardboard box is funny to me.
Cardboard box.
Cardboard box.
Cardboard
Cardboard box. Cardboard box.
Who's got time for pronunciation?
Hey, welcome to episode 179 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Paul.
Hey.
And Blake.
Hey,
Hi, guys. How's it going?
good.
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 How you doing, Nick?
I'm all right. Now, lately we've been kicking it off with questions.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, when we kick it off with questions, we talk about what we've been playing first, I think. Don't we?
We can do whatever we want, man. This
feels like too much. This feels like enough room.
I reckon
You-
do just straight questions first, because
Yeah, alright,
then
yeah.
we won't get sidetracked by.
We'll let the questions sidetrack us. first.
Yeah, because that's going to be
Yep. Okay. Well, then let's kick off with some questions / comments. This is from a Mongolian. He says, or could be she. It's probably he. A rather controversial opinion, but in my opinion, Witcher 3 is greatly overrated. I'd say it's 7 out of 10 at most. While the story is really good, gameplay-wise, it was really poor. Many mechanics are super shallow, could be removed, and most people wouldn't care. I'd say 9 or 10 out of 10 for the story, setting, music, 2 or 3 out of 10 for the various gameplay aspects. When it comes to card games, there's something about cards specifically that pushes me away. If a game's mechanic is card-based, I'm instantly out. And for the game prices, I don't really care about AAA games, nor do I need to play games on release. With a focus on indie games and being able to wait for sales, I rarely pay more than €20 for a game. Well, that is a controversial opinion.
but like a 7 out of 10 is all right.
Yeah,
Like, that's a pretty good score. Yeah.
I think what did they say that the story was?
9 or 10.
That's what people are thinking of when
Yes.
they think of the game.
Yes.
Mm.
They're thinking of that, not
Yes.
not anything else. Really.
And I would say that when he's talking about gameplay, correct me if I'm wrong, Mongolian, you can totally email us or comment and tell us how wrong I am when I make this assumption. But I'm guessing you're talking about systems. I'm guessing you're talking about the perk tree, which is pretty whack, or the crafting, which is really kind of annoying. Maybe even the combat, which is not the most polished. It's fine. I think the combat's all right. Not crazy polished. But I think that gameplay encompasses like movement and traversal of the world. It encompasses like exploration. It encompasses like the way actual conversations happen.
Yeah.
Like the playing out of the different quests. How they can branch out, and I think all of that stuff is very, very good.
I think yeah.
Although I will say that movement through the world maybe not the best.
I think there's definitely like the combat was never like amazing. The combat was never like I just can't wait to get into the next fight with a monster. I just can't wait. It's always like
I've had some good fights. I've had some really interesting fights.
yeah.
Yes. There was one of the first ones I did was one of the most interesting ones. Where you had to, it was this big, the red miasmal. You had to throw down the runic circle, like that spell prison thing, to even deal damage to the. But then you had to. It was like the way if you read all the texts and stuff through the dungeon, it's like throw that in the spell thing. Make sure you've got this potion that you've just drunk, and then use your I think Ard the like knockback rune while the thing is in a circle, and you do a ton of damage.
Oh right, yeah.
And I thought that was
there's
quite
some there's some
like
interesting
combos.
stuff. Yeah,
Really
yeah.
interesting.
I don't remember many I don't remember many monster encounters where you had to like prepare too much that weren't like story like done through the story. Like at the very start, right, you have to lead some sheep or something to lure a thing.
Yes.
That's the only time you ever do that. There's no like there's no just like monsters in the world where it's like if I throw down some sheep over here, it's going to attract something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. It's all part of a quest.
Yeah, it's all part of a quest.
None of that is dynamic.
Yeah.
But there are multiple quests that have interesting setups.
Yeah,
For that sort of thing.
But it always felt like to me that like because it felt like because it's all just like quest based, it didn't kind of feel like it actually was real. in a way. Like it's not, you can't just dynamically do that in the world. It always has to be through a story.
Yes.
Like I'm thinking like so. I've been playing a lot of Dragon's Dogma, and there's that big griffin that flies around.
Yes.
I have seen that thing just randomly swoop down and attack buffalo, just in the wild with completely. I'm barely even like in the vicinity. It's like in the distance, and I just see that happen, and that's just happening, But in The Witcher, it's like you'd have to do that through that kind of thing happens through a mission where it's like you lead some stock animal to somewhere, wait a while, and then this thing will show up.
The thing is, there are dynamic systems in that game, but they don't give you the tools to support utilizing them. So, for example, you can see like neckers or other animals, other monsters rather, attacking rabbits and deer.
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah, they do.
but you don't have any capacity to
Yeah.
coax the rabbits or deer over the location. You can't pick up a body, for example. I would also say that not liking a card game that is completely optional should not push you away from the game.
Yeah, I mean, I very much stated that I didn't care about Gwent.
Well, I love Final Fantasy
Witcher.
VII. I thought Final Fantasy VII was pretty good, but I couldn't get on board because they had the Mog game where you played the Mog house.
Yeah. Once I got there, that's when I put it down.
Yeah.
Thinking back, I didn't play that much of Witcher 3 at all. I did all of the side quests in the first area, then ran to the second area, picked up all the side quests, which dragged me into the third area, where I started picking up the side quests, and then I just gave up. Like, I actually don't think I played that much of that game at all.
So you did White Orchard. That's the very first area.
Yeah,
very
I think
small.
so.
Lots of little things in there though. And
Yeah.
then you did the second area, which is huge. Grabbed all those quests.
I grabbed the quests. I didn't complete any of them.
Okay. And then interestingly, they consider the city a separate area, even though it's part of the second area.
Right. So I think that's the bit that I'm thinking of is the third part.
Okay. Well, then there's a fourth area called Skellige,
Yes.
which is like a mountainous island.
Yep. I did actually go there. I did go there.
You must have done some quests to get there, I think. I don't think you can just like be like, I'm going to Skellige now.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you do go there for a quest.
Yeah.
I do think, like, I'm sure I initially went there through a quest and then was like, all right, I'm not finished with the other area, so I'm gonna go back and do that.
There's so much.
Maybe I didn't go there.
It's a very dense game, and I was being quite thorough with my exploration and quest completion, and I was starting to outlevel the quests I was finding, which is a little annoying.
But I never minded that because the stories were so interesting.
Yes.
I was completely fine with it.
Yes.
What was frustrating was near the start when you would get like quests that are like 10 levels ahead of you or something, and you don't really actually realize you're doing that quest until you fight the monster and it just one-shots you.
Yes.
And then it feels very disconnected to be like, okay, I'll have to leave that and come back later. Like I did this quest where I was like hunting a vampire in Oxenfree.
Yep.
And
Oxenford, I think.
Oxenford, yeah.
Oxenfree is a thing you say after all the ollie.
Yeah. I think Oxenfree is also a game.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, I did a mission where I was like hunting this thing and going. It was like a real detective thing, and then I like cornered it in this barn, and I jumped down into this barn and it just one shot me. And then I realized, oh, the quest is like I don't know level 20 and I'm like level 10 or something.
Yeah.
So I just went off and I was like, I'm just gonna leave it in that barn for like months, I guess.
One thing I quite enjoy about that game is they don't have a lot of artificial damage scaling stuff going on. So I compare it to like your World of Warcrafts or like a lot of other games where if something is significantly above your level, there will be like lots of additional penalties on your damage.
Right.
Their damage. Like you won't be able to hit, or when you do hit, it'll be like a tiny
fraction. I like a miss,
fractional
like in
glancing
Warcraft.
blow kind of
thing.
Yeah. And they'll like do huge multipliers on you. So you can, with good combat prowess,
it feels good. Yeah.
And I did lots of like 10 or 15 level higher quests because I was like, I know I can do it. I just need to do it over and over and over and over again until I get it right. Thank you, I guess, Elden Ring for teaching me to just do something I hate until I'm done with it. Um, the I do also like that there are lots of different options for actually preparing to do a fight that will change the outcome of that fight. Like the specific concoctions and
Mm,
flasks and potions you have. Like for example, you can fight a vampire and you can drink. I forget the name of the potion. It's like black blood, I think,
yeah.
and it means that like when the vampire hits you and tries to like
Mm.
drink your blood, they take damage.
You also have to know that you're about to do this
Yes,
as well. That's the thing.
but you can learn all of that generally through the quests,
Yeah,
which is great. Like
yeah,
it's like, oh, I'm doing the quest. I'm learning. Oh, I'm fighting a type of vampire.
yep.
I can go to the bestiary and be like, yeah, vampires like best way to think. Like they give you the things that are really effective against it, and things that do nothing against it. And then you can be like, great, I'll change my setup.
I always ran into the problem of hoarding stuff for when I really needed it and then never using
For
it.
when you find the
But-
real vampire.
Yeah,
But this game doesn't have that.
it doesn't. I barely ever. I didn't drink
goodness.
potions very often.
Oh, Blake, this is a really really forgiving system. Okay, so you have your potions, you have your
Yeah.
bombs, you have all of these things, right?
Yeah.
They are not one and done consumables. They have like, okay, so you have like let's use your swallow potion, your standard heal
Yep.
potion. It goes like up to 2 or 3 uses, and then
Mhm.
you can upgrade it to like 4, and then I think you can upgrade it to 5 or whatever it is. When you rest, if you have like I think an item called alcohest in your inventory,
Yeah.
it consumes that and then refills basically
Yeah.
all of your
Yeah.
potions.
But I'm talking about the things like you take before a fight. I often
Yeah, those refill the same way. I'm pretty sure.
do they?
Yeah, I'm pretty
I
sure
don't
anything,
remember.
any sort of consumable in
Yeah.
that like slot,
Yeah.
it just consumes it, and your alcohol
Yeah.
to refill it all when you
Well,
meditate.
maybe I was using it. This was a long time ago, but like
Yeah, it was
I don't
quite a
ever
while ago,
remember
probably, but
being
yeah.
like, okay, here's a fight I'm going to do. I'm going to like drink this thing. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Like I don't really remember.
Maybe they changed it.
No, I don't. I don't think they did. Maybe I just don't remember. Because I do. Like I absolutely did do the alchemy system and
Yeah.
all that, but I don't remember it having as big an impact as I thought it would.
Okay, interesting.
But maybe
I use it quite a lot.
it
and
was a long time ago that
it
I
makes a
played
big
this game.
difference. I think.
Yeah.
What I will say is they've got pretty harsh penalties for overusing it.
Yeah,
You start just taking damage from poison.
yeah,
I will also say that despite the age of the game and all the updates they've done, there are still some like glaring issues.
oh yeah,
I was in Skellige, and there's this huge mountain, and there's like a ship on top of the mountain, and I was like, "Cool, I want to go and fight, like get up there." And so I was like climbing this mountain. It's really annoying to climb up the mountain because it's like a slippery slope, and so you keep sliding back down. I get up there. I'm sure I discovered there's basically no way to actually get to the ship, at least the way I went. So I want to go back down the mountain, and I end up sliding down into a hole I can't escape from.
Oh no,
Yep.
So it was just like
That's
a
annoying.
big hole in the world.
oh
Not really
yeah.
a hole in the world, but like a big dip in the
Oh,
middle
In
of
the
the mountain
terrain. Yep.
that is too steep on all sides for
Mm,
me to get out of. That it funnels you into,
that's annoying.
and so I end up in there, and I'm like, great, got to load.
That's
Still a solid game. Let's go on to another question.
well, I remember. I think they might have fixed it, but you tell me. Does Geralt still just like fall downstairs?
No.
Okay, they fixed it then. Because when I was playing and you walk down the stairs, he would just like roll like quite often. So you'd be like walking through, someone's house or a tavern or something. Walking upstairs is fine, and then you go downstairs and you're just like roll, 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 roll.
Oh, Witchers, their
And
one
you-
weakness.
And it's that thing because like nobody reacts, so you just stand up as if like
Yeah.
nothing happened.
I will say, theft in that game. We're talking about people not reacting.
Yeah.
Theft in that game is very silly. Like, if there's a guard nearby, don't steal things. If
Mm.
anyone else is nearby, go ham. Go
Mhm.
ham.
Yep.
It's fine. No one seems to care. Let's go on to the next question. This is from Aiden Chichi. Said, I'm not sure what the conversion rate is, but here in Canada, AAA long ago left the realm of day one purchase for me. The cost is just way too high, and the launches are usually terrible. I prefer to wait a few months for the patches to be in and a sale to be put on, then I pick it up, which is what I did with Armored Core 6. You guys should play Armored Core 6.
That's the second time
I've heard
we've been
really
told
good game, really good things about that game.
about it.
I've heard mixed things about that game. I've heard it's really fun in a stupid way.
That's really good though.
But in a way that it gives you sort of these tactical decisions that don't matter. And
Okay.
Like you kind of like, there's no real balance. You can put together like the most powerful mech pretty early on, and then nothing else really matters. But
Oh, I see what you mean. Yep.
more to the crux of the question. I'm putting aside the Armor Core 6 part for now. Did you guys buy day one? I think Blake does. You just bought Dragon.
I did. No, that wasn't day one. No, that was day 8.
So that counts, Blake.
Does it?
That counts.
A week after
also-
it come out.
Also, you usually buy things before day one.
Yeah, I'm usually day minus 5 years.
Yeah. I will if it's got good reviews leading from the actual launch version of the game.
Yeah.
I do wait for those
Mhm.
before I buy now.
What's a game that you will buy day one that you're buying a day one?
Well, I mean, I did that with Diablo 4.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Do you regret it?
No, I don't. I had a lot of fun for about 20 hours,
Yeah. Okay.
and
That was like a $130 game.
yes,
20 hours for $130.
I'm not saying that the like value is there. I don't regret it though.
Yeah. Fair. I would say almost any first party Nintendo purchase on a day one is pretty safe.
Mm.
They are probably the most reliable developer in terms of stability and quality. That's my bias showing through. I don't care.
What was your last day one purchase? Was it Zelda?
It might have been Zelda. I think probably.
I think I bought that day one as well.
You still didn't finish it.
Still haven't finished it.
I buy most games months, if not years, after release.
Hmm.
The exceptions really are the first party Nintendo games. I did buy Balatro. And I've been playing Balatro.
But that was
a couple months after it came out.
yeah.
I might buy Helldivers at some point because people really love that game.
Yeah, I've heard really good things about that as well.
You need friends though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
So maybe not.
I'd be keen. The thing that puts me off Helldivers is playing with strangers. That's it. That's a lot.
Helldiver Trio right here.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yep.
But I don't even know how much that is.
Neither do I.
And when does it go on sale?
Yeah. Just wait for a sale. There, do you use Steam's wish list?
Sometimes, yeah. Not a lot. Probably not as much as I should.
I've got a lot of stuff on my wish list, and it's great because it'll just tell you when it's on sale.
Yeah, I started wishlisting stuff, but then I found that when it was on sale, I didn't buy it, and then I just
But
get
then-
annoyed at the email.
But then you're like, okay, off the wish list. Because there's been stuff like that for me where I was like, I've been on my wish list, and it'll like go on sale a few times, and I won't buy it
Yeah.
because I'm like, well then, do I really want it? Probably not, I guess.
I do.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I do. I've been getting emails for Thief going on sale for years
Thief.
for about
Must be-
$1.
yeah, must be. I was gonna say must be like $1
And I
now.
still haven't bought it.
Nah,
I think that's the free game on Epic this month.
Too rich for my blood.
yeah.
uh,
That's also funny with Epic is that like I know they give the free games,
Yeah,
but I never like look into what they are. Like I just
don't care.
it's like I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, the
Uh,
thing
I,
is-
I pay for PlayStation Plus, and I still like
Yeah.
half the time don't claim the games.
Yeah, I have the Nintendo version of PlayStation Plus, which is I think objectively not good. I still pay for it because there are some great old Nintendo
Yeah.
games,
Hmm.
Banjo Kazooie, the Zeldas. Like there's a bunch of solid games in there. There's also some great games that they have done nothing to adapt the control scheme for,
Oh no.
which are unplayable.
Yeah.
For example, GoldenEye.
Oh really?
GoldenEye,
Oh,
you
my
cannot
God.
play that game on the
Oh,
Switch
my
because do you remember how you like go into aim mode in
Yes.
GoldenEye?
Yeah.
Use the C button.
Yeah.
And there's no C buttons on the controller.
Well, where are they? Where are they
Oh.
on the controller?
Can't you get the 64
You can
controller
get the
for
64
yeah?
controller.
Wait, no. So they really haven't remapped.
They have not remapped.
That's actually
the controller.
insane.
you have
not
to
do that.
buy.
Yes, it's deeply unpleasant.
Like
to
that's
play with some of those
that's
games.
madness. Why wouldn't they just be like, oh, C is this button on the thing?
That sounds like work.
Because you could buy another controller about it.
Yeah.
Maybe you should buy that other controller.
it's a little tempting because, for example, Jet Force Gemini,
Yeah.
another great game from Rare.
Yeah.
And I started playing it, and it's really sucky to play on the Switch, but the game is still really solid
Oh
and
wow.
has a killer soundtrack.
Huh.
So does that mean they have modern day N64 controllers?
Yeah,
That's
Yeah.
I didn't know they had that.
they thought, yeah, everyone loves this controller. Let's do it again.
It was iconic, to be fair.
No one's confused about how to hold it at all.
Everyone I knew, we all held it differently. Everyone held it differently. What a weird thing.
The blister maker for Mario Party rather.
Oh,
Yeah. That stick.
yeah.
And then the number of broken sticks from that game.
Yeah. I think because I've got an N64, I think all the sticks are like wobbly on it.
Of course.
On every
Mm.
controller I've got.
It was the very first like analog
Yeah.
handheld like gamepad.
You have to,
Yeah,
like
it
plug in a
was.
rumble pack.
Yep. And a memory pack.
Oh yeah.
Remember the memory pack that they used
Yep.
for almost nothing?
Yeah.
But like so many people bought it on day one. I had one.
Day one purchase.
I think it was used for like Wave Race.
Oh my god.
I think it was basically used to be able to transfer data to another Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was something in N64 that you could plug in Game Boy games.
Oh, yep. I had that as well.
Yeah.
That was you got it for Pokemon Arena.
Oh yes, you got it for Pokemon Arena.
Pokemon Stadium.
Yeah, yes, Pokemon Stadium. Yeah, and you can plug in your
and use
thing
your
and
Pokemon.
use your Pokemon. Yeah,
It was awesome.
Yeah, that was so cool.
And then you could straight up play the Game Boy games.
Yeah.
On your screen.
I remember playing the Game Boy game on my screen and being like, "This is incredible."
I
Yeah.
remember when they did the same thing for the GameCube, except it was just a cable that plugged directly into your Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Advance SP.
Oh
Like
wow.
it clips in,
Yeah.
and then you would use your Game Boy
Holy.
Advance SP as the controller,
Oh, that's cool.
and you just see it on the big screen. That was pretty neat.
What a time, eh?
Yeah, and now I mean they've kind of made the
That's
very
just-
slow logical leap
Yeah.
to the Switch, which is
That's-
Yeah.
that's
You
actually
can just do
amazing.
either.
yeah,
Yeah, it all started from just plugging in
yeah.
Game Boy games into
Yep.
that.
I think the Super Nintendo might have even had a Game Boy port.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, I've never knew that.
Anyway, let's do one last question. Did we actually even answer the question?
Well, I think it's like it depends on the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
if there's definitely games that I will buy day one regardless, but there's still a lot of games that people are like super excited for, like Starfield, right? Heaps of people bought that game. I
Yeah.
still haven't bought it.
yeah,
and,
neither.
and I usually
never will.
I used to buy Bethesda games day one regardless.
Yeah, I stopped buying Bethesda games day one after Skyrim. I got Skyrim.
Yeah.
In fact, I got Skyrim. I had a press version of it because I was
Mm.
at IGN at the time, and they canceled the press app
Uh-huh.
not long after the review came out. So I was like, okay, well, I gotta buy it
Yeah.
then. And then I remember, I think it was like Fallout 4 was the next one that came out,
Mm.
and people weren't.
I
that
bought
was
that
sort of
day
iffy.
one and was like,
And
didn't
then,
really live up to.
yep.
Yeah.
Then it was Fallout 76,
I definitely didn't
and
buy
then there was like Elder Scrolls Blades. I did get that,
Oh,
but that was
yeah.
free, and
Yeah.
I didn't pay any money. I don't think. There's another actually Elder Scrolls mobile game coming out.
Really?
Did you
Oh,
know
is it?
that? I didn't
No.
know that until I was looking. I wanted to see if there was a mobile version of Elder Scrolls Daggerfall,
Right.
which is I think the second. Elder
Yeah,
Scrolls.
yeah.
And no, there is not. But there is a game called Elder Scrolls Castles,
Huh.
and I believe from what I can see, it's a bit like the Fallout Shelter mobile game, but
Oh.
Elder Scrolls Castles.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's taper our excitement a little bit here.
Yeah.
Also, keeping in mind that it is a Bethesda game,
Mm.
and Bethesda, as of late, has been, for lack of a better word, sucky.
Mm.
Yeah.
Starfield is like the most amazing disappointment, I think.
It is just
No Man's Sky.
it's so interesting to me because I think you can almost trace a line of complexity of these games, and it just every generation of their games gets simpler and simpler than
Yeah.
the last,
Mm.
to its detriment.
Mm.
Yep.
It's like they want to appeal to as broad a player base as possible, but it always seems to be at the cost of the game's soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Might be right. Because like Morrowind was special.
Oh, I love Morrowind.
Morrowind was like there was a lot of just uh, Morrowind was a game that opened my eyes to what games could be.
Yeah, it was the first open world game I
Mm.
played that where I felt fully immersed.
And it was not handholdy
No,
either, like very not handholdy.
there was a lot of freedom in what you could do, where you could go,
Yeah,
how you went about things.
yeah.
Like I remember, we bought the Morrowind play guide,
Oh yeah.
and it was like 300 pages long.
Oh,
It was like Bible sized text, so it was like dense because there was just a lot to that game and a lot of ways to do stuff in that game. There were quests where like, oh, you need to assassinate this person. There's a poison apple you can find some way over here, and you can like put it in. You can pickpocket, it, put it in their inventory, and they'll just happen to eat it at some point, and they'll die, and you'll just get credit. And like, cool.
Yeah.
And like, there's just lots and lots of things in that game. What a great game.
This is
There
good.
are a lot of things they lost from that game,
Mm.
and I've talked about this in the past, but levitation.
Oh right.
The fact
Yeah.
they took
Yeah.
levitation out of Elder Scrolls games is, I think, a cardinal sin.
Weird that they did too, because like especially in Skyrim where you're scaling mountains and stuff all over the place, like
Yeah.
it really those games don't box you in.
No,
You know.
but I think that was viewed as a problem, in that like levitation can be used as a shortcut.
But
for so
also,
many things.
well,
Mm.
I mean, I would keep it in, but like maybe tamp it down or something, like so it make it more
I think
special or something, like
Yeah.
like a difficult thing to achieve,
maybe I kind of think it's fine to have it in and let players cheat their way around. Yeah, make it a valuable
Yeah.
commodity or whatever. But also it's like the way Morrowind was designed. Levitation was there to help you discover secrets and story
Mm.
elements, and it was the best, in my opinion, one of the best parts of that game.
Hmm.
Like there were so many of these like these Dwemer dungeons and what are the demons called? Daedra Daedra dungeons, where you'd like be in this big chamber, and then you could look up, and there might be like a weird platform off to the side, way up there, and you'd levitate up there. You'd find like a skeleton, and you'd have a note, and he'd have like a magical piece of gear, and it was
Yeah.
like, this is so far out of the way. I had to do a lot of work
Mm.
to find it and utilize it. And then there's like those Telvanni towers that you could really only navigate through levitation, which is such a cool feature. Like they're designed to be basically
Yeah.
inaccessible
Mhm.
until
Yeah.
you have capacity to levitate. It's just really cool stuff. They also got rid of the like different attack types. I don't know if you remember this, but in Morrowind, you had like thrusting attacks and
Oh,
and
yeah.
swinging attacks.
Yes, I do remember.
And like
yeah,
I forget.
you basically just have heavy attack, or like hold attack and quick attack
Yeah,
right now.
And
Yeah, that's kind of it.
I think I get why they took it out,
Mm.
but I kind of liked that weird
Yeah.
feature, and
Yeah.
you could totally make that part of the core gameplay loop. Like a character with a shield is much better at protecting against thrusting attacks than overhead attacks, whatever it is.
Mm.
There's-
Yeah, I remember playing. The only thing that disappointed me with Skyrim was I played Skyrim not long after playing Dead Island. Remember Dead Island, that zombie
yes,
game?
yes.
And in that game, it had like you could target the zombies' limbs, and
Mm-hmm.
then and you could break their limbs or cut their limbs off, and it would affect then how the zombie moves and attacks. Like if you there's like these big strong guys, so if you like cut off their arms, they sort of just like try to shuffle at you with their head, like it's the Dark Knight from Monty Python,
Yeah.
basically, like still
That's pretty
kind of
cool.
go, and then
That's pretty cool.
and you get into like real tactics depending on what monster you're fighting, of like how you basically dismember them, and then going into Skyrim, that was kind of in the back of my head, and then the first time I just sort of swung at something, I aimed for parts
Mhm.
just instinctively because I'd been playing it, and
Yeah.
then was like, oh, that
That's
doesn't
not a
happen
thing.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just like randomly hit, so it doesn't
Well, all right.
do anything.
I have one more question to read out, and I want to jump onto something else because what you're talking about is relevant.
Oh,
This is from Slippery Jim. He says there's a mod early in Witcher 3. There's a mod early Witcher 3 launch that made every combat encounter a Gwent game. Fighting the Griffin in a game of Gwent was an experience. Not sure if it's still updated, but I've always wanted to do a whole playthrough like that. That honestly sounds.
it just becomes Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Yeah, or
'Cause
the,
that's Yu-Gi-Oh. You just go around.
there was a Pokemon Game Boy game that was a card game.
Oh, really?
And it followed the Pokemon structure, but it was
Yeah, it was
just the
kind-
card game.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
In fact, you can get it now on the Nintendo Switch Play Pass. All right, so the reason I wanted to talk about things straight after what Blake said is I've been playing a game called Kenshi.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes.
And Kenshi
yes.
is, I think, so much Blake's kind of game, and I'm shocked he hasn't got it.
Well, you messaged me about this earlier in the week, and I knew about that game. It had been advertised to me for years.
Yeah.
On Steam, being like, "Hey, you might like this game."
And you're like, this is too much my kind of game.
Yeah.
I might never see the light of day again.
I watched gameplay of it. Like I have legitimately thought about buying it, and I've watched
Just
gameplay
buy
of it.
Blake.
And
Just, the number of games you've bought that are steaming garbage. The early access.
That's the thing. I was worried that this game would be as well, because like everything I've seen
Oh
of
no, another one for your collection. You would have blown $15. I think let me tell you about this game because I think you're gonna love it.
All right.
All right, so it is an RTS RPG hybrid,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels a lot like Mount and Blade and for X4 combined. You start off. I mean, there's lots of different ways to start off the game. First of all,
Mhm.
there's like 10 different game starts. Your basic one is like you're just a dude. You've got 1,000 coins.
Yep.
And go
Figure
off
it
and
out.
do your thing. And by the way, there's no, as far as I can tell, there's no win condition, no end state.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is again the perfect game to play. So there's like the standard one is like the Wanderer. Yeah, 1,000 coins, basically nothing in your bag but a sword, and you go off and do your thing. There's versions where it's like you're 5 dudes with basically nothing.
Oh, you're RTS.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get you now. Okay.
There's one where it's like you are 2 dudes who have been captured and you're in a slave encampment. And
Yeah.
the first thing you have to do is get out of the slave encampment.
Yeah.
And that can take a really, really, really long time. And be personally. There's one where you start off being attacked by dozens and dozens and dozens of cannibals, and you were 2 guys, and you definitely get caught and put in cages. And if you don't escape fast enough or figure out a way to escape fast enough, you get eaten.
Wow.
That's how you start the game.
Yeah.
So there's just lots of different ways to start the game. I'm gonna just go with like standard Wanderer.
Yeah.
It is a really slow build up. It has a lot of the Mount and Blade feel in that sense.
Okay.
In that you start off as one guy, it takes quite a while before you can get like a buddy, and then like you generally like you're mining or you're trying to like lure bandits to a town so that the town guards attack them and then you loot the bodies. You get 2 guys and then you basically double your output. Get a 3rd. The thing is, unlike Mount and Blade, where it's like you can go to a village and recruit dudes pretty much whenever. If you remember in Mount and Blade, they're like hero characters. Like they'd have special names. You'd go to like a
Yes.
tavern. They'd have like a
Yes.
special
Yes, there
background.
are. Yes. And they can lead other armies.
Yes.
Yeah.
This game is basically, as far as I can tell, you can only recruit the hero kinds.
Oh.
So there's like a pretty limited pool of dudes you can recruit
Yep.
from, and you can. I think you can hire mercenaries, but mercenaries are really expensive. I've never done it. There's like quite a lot of crafting depth to this game. So like the version I'm playing as the Wanderer, I'm running around just kind of get my money up and get my group up, so that I can eventually figure out a place to build a village. And I've started building a village.
Oh, you build a village.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh, now you're interested, aren't you? Aren't you?
Wait, you tell me there's some village management happening?
There's lots of this game has a lot of depth in really interesting ways. So combat. Let's talk about combat. Don't fight animals.
Oh yeah.
Don't fight animals because they're really strong.
Ah.
Hungry bandits, they'll also kick your butt.
Hmm.
Generally, anything will kill you for like the first 10 or 20 hours of the game.
Right. Okay.
Oh man.
It's a really hard,
Yep.
really hard game. But the thing is, when you lose a fight, you have a good chance of the game not ending. If everyone in your party is knocked down, and everyone is like bleeding out, then you'll probably lose. But like, there's a good chance that like one person will, maybe their injuries are so bad they're unconscious, but they're not like actively losing blood. They can revive, and then you can like bandage up the rest of your party. They'll usually be in a recovery coma for a while.
Oh.
So you could have one character pick up another character and lug it around.
Wow.
sometimes, as what happened when I tried to do the 5-person start, um, you'll get attacked by like giant red spiders,
Oh god.
and they'll rip a limb off of a character, and that limb's just gone. The
Wow.
game just adapts to that.
Oh
So,
wow.
like they're crawling around. My guy lost a leg, and so he was just crawling around from that point on. Now I could have gone to a village and tried to buy a robotic leg
Oh
to
okay.
like use a prosthetic,
Yeah.
which is totally a thing you can do. But I didn't know
Yeah.
where the closest village was.
Yeah.
Um, you can get prosthetic arms and limbs. If you wait too long to like bandage a limb, I think it might just die.
Oh wow.
There's just so much depth, and the combat adapts to all of this. So like on a character, when you select a character, you see like a bunch of different health bars. You got your like blood health bar, your head, your stomach, your chest,
Oh boy.
left leg, right leg,
Okay.
left
Oh,
arm,
boy.
right arm.
Yep.
That might be all of them. And they every time they take combat damage, they are taking combat damage to a specific part or multiple parts.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
And-
see.
And if they lose, like if too much health is lost from an arm, they won't swing as hard, or they'll just lose use of that arm.
Mm.
Which means, for example, they can't pick up another party member who's downed.
Hmm.
If they lose a leg, they might just be limping, or they might have to crawl. Like if they
Mm.
lose too much health. It's just a lot of depth to it.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then as they're like start healing over time, and it takes quite a while unless you like find a bed to rest in, which still takes like a really long time to recover.
Yeah.
They'll start like gaining experience in their toughness, so that maybe not so they don't take so much damage next time.
Okay.
When you're running around mining stuff, running increases your athletic skill, so you run faster. Unless you're carrying a bunch of weight, in which case it increases your strength.
Yeah.
Carrying
Mm.
more, so it all adapts to your different gameplay style.
Huh.
It's really a very interesting, fascinating game.
Yeah.
I will say it is really, really hard to get into, and the
Is it-
UI is very, very different.
How much have you played?
It's a good question. Probably 10, 15 hours.
Okay, so it's only just starting to.
It's starting to come together for me.
Yeah.
And I had done multiple different attempts of different kinds of playthrough, and failed at all of them
Yep.
in one way or another. The first time I played, I think I died almost instantaneously, and it was like, well, this is a fun game.
Yeah.
I like, oh, there's some bandits, and they ran over and attacked because I had some food on me, and then I was unconscious, then I bled out, and then the game doesn't end. That's the thing. So if my character dies, it just shows the character's body slowly rotting.
Oh my god. What?
It's like,
And it's
okay.
up to you
What
to
is-
just start over.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Wow. What?
I do kind of like that as an intro to a game.
Yeah,
It gives you a good
it's a
idea of what you're getting into.
Yes. Now I haven't. There may be like depths to the combat that I haven't figured out yet. It seems like a lot of dice rolling happening based on
Okay.
your stats and a bunch of
Yeah.
other stuff going on. Like I don't think characters, for example, have skills. We can give them different weapons. You can give
Yep.
them ranged weapons. There's quite a deep itemization system. So each character can have like a helmet, pants,
Yep.
chest, 2 different kinds of weapon.
So it
Boots.
is very like equipping Mountain Blade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I said, it's like having a
Yeah.
party of only heroes.
Yeah.
And they'll talk to each other.
Oh, neat.
And when they die, they're dead from the world.
Yeah.
So you can't just go out and get another one.
Hmm.
And it is really going between villages is harrowing. Like genuinely, I'll make sure everyone's healed up. I'll spend like days mining ore just to get enough bandages and food to go from one village to the next.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's I think your kind of game. Blake.
Yeah. That does sound
The
like
only game, well, the first game I can think of that gave me that kind of feeling was this War of Mine,
Yes.
Oh,
where
God.
every time before you go out, you're like, for the most part, in a worse state you were than the day
Yes.
before, and you're just trying to like make it through another stealing session,
Mhm.
Does-
raiding
Mhm.
session.
because this War of Mine, I played that and it had a slowly circling the drain
Yes.
deal.
Yeah, yeah.
Does this have that, or are you? Is
Um,
there a point where you're just like, okay, I'm getting somewhere now?
I think it really depends.
Have
Like for
you
example,
gotten to a point where you're like, okay, I'm getting somewhere now?
I did in one, and then spiders tore my legs off.
Oh,
and,
no.
I was like, oh, actually,
Do you just have to play ultra cautiously?
yeah, I think
Like
so.
if you see a monster you've never encountered before,
You stay away.
You just stay
You
away.
can click on it and you can see its stats.
Ah,
And,
okay.
Yeah.
But generally, if it's not human, it's
Mm.
probably really strong. And if it is human, it's probably strong.
Yeah.
in my current playthrough is probably the best I've done so far.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to put 2 buildings down and put some
Wow.
walls around it,
Ooh.
and I've got a farm. And
Nice.
so like I'm slowly inching towards like being able to produce some food,
Yeah.
so that I'm not trying to ferry between multiple villages and
Yep.
carrying loads of copper and iron
So,
just to buy some dried meat. Like I was
Oh,
I'll be
do
able
you have
to,
a hunger gauge that you need to constantly?
there is a hunger gauge. Now here's the thing: I don't know that you can die from hunger, but hunger does affect all of your stats.
Yeah.
So, like, when I was a slave, for example, I noticed that, at least for the NPC slaves, the hunger would just sort of float around
Yep.
100, which is like starving,
Mm.
versus like the 300, which is like you're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually like because like survival games have that whole thing you can die from starvation, but I actually like survival games where you don't die from starvation, but the food gives you boosts
Yeah.
instead. Like Valheim does that, where it's
Mm.
like you eat 3 different types of food and your health gets like a huge boost, your stamina gets a huge boost, but you never die from hunger. If you don't have any food, you just have a small health pool and a
Right.
small stamina pool.
Yeah.
That's it.
This probably feels a bit similar.
Mm.
Like you just have all your stats are lower.
Yep.
You move.
I like that.
Move
I mean, the
slower,
world sounds brutal enough.
Oh, it's so brutal. And they've got it's a really interesting world that they've put you in. It's post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And so there's like all these ruins that kind of resemble things you might recognize, but not like it's not
Oh,
Earth, but it's like, oh, these are clearly big iron structures that fell down.
Okay.
This was once like an iron mine or whatever,
Hmm.
and now it's covered in robots. By the way, I found a place that had robot spiders,
Oh
and
my
it
God.
one shot 2 of my characters, and I was like, yeah, cool, I'm not going there. But like, uh, there are all these new cultures in place. There's like
Hmm.
humans, but then there's like kind of like scaly dudes, and
Okay.
there's robots, and there's like hive people, and
Are there factions like in
yes, there's
X4?
yes, there's like the Holy Order, which is like, it was really interesting because they'll like run up to you and be like, "Hey, brother, you look like you could use some help. Here's a ration." Um, if you're part of their faction, and if you're
Mm.
not, they're like, "Do you swear fealty to blah blah blah?" And if you don't,
Ah.
they'll straight up kill you. And like,
Well, is that? I mean, is that a good survival thing to be like? I'll join a faction, and now I'm.
I faked it. I was like, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
know who you're talking about." And they gave me some food, but they'll also like burn women at the stake, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So like, it really depends
Yeah,
on who's
yeah,
in your
yeah.
party, what they look like, what you're carrying.
Yeah.
I ended up stealing
Ah.
armor from one who'd gotten killed.
Hmm.
Like one of the guards of this town got killed.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, sweet, some armor. I'll grab it." And as soon as I grabbed it, they're like, that's our armor!" And they swarmed me and killed me.
Oh
So,
my God.
Can you save save game
You can save
like
scum.
whenever you want?
Yeah, you can save scum if you want.
Yep.
But and I not like really extensively. It auto saves every 10 minutes anyway.
Okay.
So I kind of just rely on that.
Yep.
Sometimes like save scumming in some things is just like figuring out what you can
Yes.
do and what you can't do. Like, how are
Yes.
people going to react if you're wearing this armor?
Well, that's
I'll-
I
you
was
know.
about to say that.
Are they going to think, "Oh,
the-
here, fellow guard," or are they going to be like, "Hey, you're not that"?
Depending on your stealth skill, it will be either.
Oh wow.
So if
Okay.
you have a high stealth skill, they have a disguise system. You can pretend to
Whoa.
be part of them.
Oh, neat.
And if you get caught, they will freak out and they will attack you.
Yep.
There's like a tons of death.
Hmm.
So really, like I'm just shocked that this is not a game that has been. It clearly has not been on your radar.
Oh yeah.
And you said to me that you were thinking about getting the sequel, which
Yes.
I did ask.
Because they have a sequel in the works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, as I said in our chat, this one took 12 years to develop.
Yeah.
So I would not hold your breath for the sequel. I would try this one. Get
Alright.
it cheap.
Yeah.
It's.
I mean, it's honestly advertised to me like once every 2 weeks at least. Like,
Well,
it's
they made it
so
for
often.
you.
Yeah, I like to imagine there's a guy sitting in Valve looking at your list, going, "I just don't get it. He doesn't have. Look at all these games he's got, and he doesn't have Kenshi."
It's like every single game I go to that's like, you might like this. That Kenshi is like always.
Yeah, I'm shocked you don't have it.
Yeah.
Um,
Honestly, the only thing that put me off is that it looked maybe too jank.
it's really, really ugly looking.
Yeah.
That
That is the kind of thing. That is actually what put me off.
Yeah.
Really, is how ugly it looked.
It looks like do you remember? I mean, it looks like a 2002 era MMO.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and that makes sense when you realize it was one guy who made most of it for a really long time, and he
Yeah, he
probably
probably
used some.
started it in
He's
2000.
probably using Gamebryo or something like really
Oof.
old. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't really know what he was using, but
Yeah.
it looks like an old engine.
Yeah.
It suffers from technical issues that are a sign of its age more
Right.
than anything else.
Yeah.
But the level of thought and depth that has gone into that game, and the variety of ways you can play it,
Mm.
and also just the general framework of it makes me think this is Blake's game, and I don't understand why he's not playing it all day, every day.
All right. Well, I'm gonna buy it then.
Okay, good. I don't think maybe there's a multiplayer mod. If there is, I would be keen to find
Yeah.
it and try it out.
So it's learning curve
So steep.
steeper than X4.
Oh, good question. I would say, in terms of its readability, X4 is completely inscrutable,
Mm.
right? Unless you need to go watch videos and listen to people.
You need to
Yeah,
Google
and figure
so
out
much.
where the menu is
Yeah.
that has the thing that you're.
It has X4 is a little bit like a really complex board game in that the only way to learn how to play it is to talk to someone who has already learned how to play that board game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need someone to tell you the rules.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
someone who has played it multiple times.
Yeah.
And said, "Oh, I know all this. Because I learned it from some other guy who had played it multiple times."
Yeah.
It has that virality kind of explanation.
Yeah.
This is not quite to that level, but it's close. There are lots and lots of menus, lots and lots of systems, and they all
Okay.
interact in interesting ways, and it's kind of hard to navigate some of the elements.
Interesting.
But the difficulty curve itself is brutal. It is
Mm.
much harder than X4.
Yep.
In X4, once you know how to use the game,
Yeah.
it's not hard.
Yeah. Like my second playthrough now of X4, I've breezed through stuff.
Yeah.
That I found difficult before, just because I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, the difficulty in
Yeah.
X4 is the economy and the actual
Yeah.
layer of systems.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
you-
just
you-
knowing what you're doing. That is it. But it sounds like in this game, it's like actually the world will just kill you.
In this game, the world is very hostile.
Yeah.
Everything is pretty much out to get you. I mean,
Yeah.
there are like herbivores and stuff that won't
Mm.
necessarily straight up attack you. There are herbivores that will attack you if you get like too close to them, or like
Mm.
or do things that might seen as aggression.
Yeah.
And like one of the characters, one of my little NPC guys is like, if you stand still, they won't bother you.
Oh.
Like he's telling that to another NPC who's nearby.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I was like, great, I'm just gonna.
I was literally just gonna ask, how do you know how things act, like without them just murdering you?
Yeah.
No.
You learn either through gameplay or through context.
But that's good if they've
Um,
got context in there.
yeah.
Because I hate that in games when it's like the only way to learn how a monster does anything is to just die by it.
Yeah.
And that's not really.
I will say that this game, there's probably mods that makes a lot of the friction elements nicer.
Mm.
Like there are things that are not, as far as I can tell, designed to be difficult but aren't difficult. So, for
Yeah.
example, if you're mining ore, what you're expecting is, okay, right click a character, right click on a thing, and they'll go and mine it, and then their inventory will fill up with the ore.
Mm.
What actually happens is you click a character, you right click on the ore, they'll start mining it, and then the mine's inventory will fill up with ore that you then have to move into that character's inventory.
Oh, weird.
And there are like advantages to this. So, for example, you can like just set a character to mine and not worry about their inventory filling up.
Mm.
If they've got a full inventory, you're still getting good labor out of that.
Yeah,
character.
yeah.
Mm.
And then you could have a different character just run over, grab the ore, and run
Yeah.
to town.
I get it. So it's a bit like Farthest Frontier or a lot of like village management games.
Yeah.
If you put down a mine or a lumberyard,
Yeah.
there will be a resource that there'll be a stock of resources that build up in the lumber camp
Yeah.
before it's taken to
Yeah.
the thing, and you can have a different person doing a different job that's taking stuff back and
Yes.
forth, and the laborer can just do
Yeah.
stay at the resource and basically never have to go back to wherever.
Yeah.
You know,
So there's that
Yeah.
kind of thing. But
but it's also not very intuitive.
It's not very intuitive, and like the cap for the copper mine is like 5 ore.
Yeah.
And then the dudes would stop working.
Oh man. Okay.
And so
then you Google like, why am I guys not working,
Yeah.
and then you find out about it.
Yeah. So there's lots of little things like that where it's like there's probably a good reason for the system to be set this way,
Yeah.
but it's not intuitive, and it's just kind of a little bit heinous in its limitations.
Yeah.
But uh, I think there are probably ways around a lot of these aspects that I have not yet figured out. Like there are
Mm.
probably ways to set up orders to loot things and sell things. And
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
else. A bit like X4 in that sense.
Yeah, it does feel like that. Like if you had someone that you automate to be like, I want you to always go here, pick
Yeah.
up this already mined stuff,
Yeah.
move it to here. And then I want you to just always mine
Yes.
here and just fill up that mine inventory.
Yeah.
You know, like I get it. But I guess the initial thing of like, oh, a mine. I want to click on that and have my character thing. Nope.
Nope. So
It's more like
it
it's
really
like
does. It feels like the love child of X4 and
yeah. It's like
Mountain Blade.
it's like they've got the village, a sort of village management system at a stage of the game that is not the village management stuff. Like you're just roaming around as a crew and you're like, oh, here's something I'm gonna mine.
Yeah.
Except it acts as if it's like you
like
have
you
a
have a
village
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And yeah, so this just anyway, you should play this game. I don't understand why you don't have it yet. Why are you not buying it right now?
Honestly, it was just like really. It was just the look.
Yeah.
Like I'm, I'll judge a game by its cover.
I strongly suspect it's got a pretty huge community. I was like,
yeah, I know it does. I know.
I checked on Reddit,
Yeah.
and they have like 130,000 people in there.
It is a big game. I know. It's
Reddit.
like it's
So
it's like
I'm
yeah.
certain you can get mods that will make the
Yeah.
game prettier.
Yeah.
But
There's only so much you can do with mods.
yeah, that's
though,
true.
sometimes.
That is true. And I think that there are some pretty hefty technical limitations to that game.
That sounds cool. All right, I will get it then.
Paul. You
Hello.
been playing anything?
What?
Have you been playing anything?
I've just been playing more Balatro.
Yeah.
I pretty much stopped even playing Final Fantasy, and I've just been playing Balatro.
Oh my god, man!
I've been playing Balatro as well. Is it Balatro?
I have
Balatro?
no idea.
We'll call it poker.
Yep.
Super poker. No, we won't call it that. We'll call it Balatro. Sorry, I ever said it. Blake, cut that out. Cut it out. Cut out the thing I said.
I'm gonna keep it in.
Yeah, probably.
That's the
This
intro now.
episode is now going to be called Super Poker or something.
Super Poker, yeah.
Just because of one
Yeah.
One really
whimsical
poorly thought.
comment.
So, what do you think of it, Paul?
I'm pretty sure they made that game for people like me.
Yeah. I think I'm starting to burn out on it because I played a fair bit of it. I beat like all the basic decks.
Yep.
I started. I think I beat one or two special decks as well.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like the antique one or whatever. Like they've got some ones that have special quirks to them that you get from beating the basic ones.
Yeah.
Some of the things I've noticed about that game, it can be very hard to get a run that works with some of those decks in their default state.
Yeah.
Unless you funnel down like a pretty reliable strategy.
I think that's kind of the trick to it, is to start with a similar sort of strategy with most of them.
Yeah.
Then pivot around ante 2 or 3 depending on what jokers you get.
Yeah.
3 or 4, sorry.
But that's what I think what I don't super like about that game. There are lots and lots and lots of jokers.
Yes.
And you can often get ones that are completely not suitable for your deck. Like you can be an anti.
Yeah, but that's like roguelike randomness, right?
Yes and no. You can skew rarities. Like, and they have rarities in that game. They have common, uncommon,
Yes.
rare.
Yeah.
I got my first legendary.
Oh yeah.
It was oh my god, I've forgotten the name of it. It was the one where I think you get a copy of a negative copy of a consumable in your hand at the end of the run.
I haven't even seen that one.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But like
I've only seen 2 legendaries, I think.
yeah. I don't know. There's things I really like about that game, and there are some things that I think are a little too broad and result in like inconsistent levels of fun and accessibility. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
In a way that like most roguelikes will give you some sort of avenue to, or at least a good roguelike will give you an avenue to victory, even when you're kind of getting duds.
Yeah, it's pretty rare that you actually have a run that's a complete flop, though. Like I've had runs where you just don't get any jokers with malt, and that is just a non-starter.
Yeah,
but it's pretty rare for me to not have a chance until I got to the really high difficulty. Gold difficulty was like a different story.
Oh,
I
you're doing the stakes.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I did the same thing. I went through and did the first difficulty on all the decks. And then I wanted to unlock the later decks, so I went through and did all the stakes.
What's your deck what's your main deck, I guess?
The one that I beat gold on was the yellow deck, where you start with $10. Just because it gave you a little bit of extra funds early on, so that you could start ramping.
Yes.
And because you're sort of with the gold, they are changing it, but the current way gold works is that you only start with 2 discards total. Which means that on the first boss, you probably haven't found anything to give you enough mult to scale, so you need to get 2 good hands.
Yeah.
But with the extra bit of money, you can pick up one extra
thing you
thing
can get.
that means that you can sort of get through that.
Yes.
And then I did a bunch of the challenges as well. I've done half the challenges.
Nice. Now the gold thing, like the money thing, the gold.
Yep.
The reason the gold deck is strong.
Yep.
This is something I noticed as well, which is that money is king in that game.
Yes.
For most of the game.
It counters random.
It counters random, and it can also fuel power. There are
Yes.
jokers that will take into account how much cash you've
The
got.
bull?
The bull. There's one.
The boot or something. It's a shoe that's
Yes, exactly. It gives you mult per
2
5 or whatever.
Yeah, 2 mult per $5.
Yeah.
I think you have.
And then there's like, also just the fact that you can generate interest.
Yep.
Um,
Interest is capped though, which is kind of interesting.
but
There
then
are
there's
ways-
2 different ways to increase the cap.
Yep.
So
But one of those is a joker, so
yes. There's like 2 different vouchers. Anyway,
yes.
there's like lots of different. That you can end up getting like 20 gold per turn just in interest, I think.
Yep.
Which is more than you can get from just gameplay. Like twice as much as you'll typically get from doing a perfect round, which I think is maybe one of my biggest issues with the game, is that so money is the main way that you advance your meta progression in the game, right? It's how you create your build. But the way you get money is unrelated to performance at some point. It is more about not spending, and you get rewarded for not engaging with the systems.
Well, I see it more as you get rewarded for being very careful about where you're spending your resources early on.
Yep.
Because if you just spend it all and don't gain any interest, then you're sort of falling behind.
Yes.
Whereas if you wait and play a round that you're less likely to beat because you haven't spent it, then
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So then you get more money and you get more interest, and then you ramp faster. So this is the crux of my point.
Yep.
So the best way to play Balatro is to not spend anything in your first ante, right?
yes, but you can't do that on the higher difficulties.
Yeah. Really not at all. You probably have to
You
get
will-
lucky, right? You could probably get a royal
With
flush.
2 discards and 4 total hands, it is very, very hard to.
Now, I want to make a distinction here.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's uncommon.
Yes, very.
This is why this is sort of my issue, is that because of the way the money works, the optimal way to play Balatro is luck based initially. It is get the right hands in those first 3 rounds, give or take, depending on whether or not you skip blinds, to get enough to generate interest for the remainder of the game. So basically, it's like play optimal hands in those first 3 rounds, spend no money, generate interest, and you'll be set up to potentially reliably win. But that first ante requires you to not spend, and it rather than get to ante 7 and fail because you didn't generate enough interest, it's faster to fail ante 1 over and over and over and over and over again until you get a perfect run, basically. And that's what I don't super like about it. The optimal strategy is to
I don't
restart.
really play that way.
Mm.
Because you can pivot and make most things. You can pivot and make a lot of good builds
Mm.
without playing the most optimal economy, or not playing for the most optimal economy.
Do you think that's going to remain true at the highest stakes?
Yes.
Mm.
Well, at least it did with gold, with the yellow deck.
Is
I
gold the
haven't
highest?
tried. Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't tried any of the others, and they are changing completely how the yellow, how the higher antes work,
Mm.
and they're doing like a beta test at the moment of the next patch,
Mm.
where they've taken away the -1 discard thing.
Okay.
The -1 discard thing is weird. I think it probably is bad.
Is
Just because it means that, like, you really only have 4 hands and 2 discards to make
and you often end up
2 good
using
hands.
hands to function as discards when you run out of discards.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
high card plus all of my bad cards.
Yep. And then that's $1 less that you get at the end of the round because you
Yes.
had to do that.
Yes. It's don't get me wrong. I really like the game.
Yep.
I just think there are some design flaws, or maybe not even flaws, but things that I think push players to do unhealthy gameplay things.
Yeah, that might be fair.
And I would love to see, for example, I think the main thing I would love to see is a review of how the money works, because it is so heavily weighted towards interest and growth and less about playing well within a round. The maximum rewards you can get for playing well within a round are dependent on your jokers.
Yep.
And which means that you're already potentially subbing in a different money making joker, for example, one that gives you 2 coins per discard, right? And
If you use no discards.
yes, exactly. So it requires you to play really well, be lucky, and then you get a little extra cash, but you might have gotten as much extra cash or more from a different joker, either just giving you bonus interest or just the egg that grows 3 coins every turn, or the one that grows all of your sell values by 1 every turn. Like, there's a bunch of other ones that generate as much or more and don't have a weird condition on them. And as a result, but those also don't take into account what you're doing within a round.
Yeah.
I want a review of that, please. Thank you. Like, Balatro, when? If you could email frenzyquestions@gmail.com, just say, Blake, Balatro, when?
I think I'm with our listener. Card games, nah. Put me right off.
Yeah. But you played Gwent.
Yeah, put me right off. Put me right off The Witcher. Couldn't
You never played The Witcher again?
never finished The Witcher.
I'm curious to see how this patch goes. How much time we got left? We're basically out of time.
We're right on the hour. Yeah.
All right.
I will say, just quickly going back to The Witcher. You got all the DLCs, right?
Yes.
So you're saying like you and Paul were saying earlier that these maps are huge.
Yeah.
There's an
I know.
entire
There's a whole other zone I
giant
haven't been yet.
other map that's as big as the the main map.
Yeah.
In one of those DLCs.
I'm excited.
And that's the one I never finished.
I'm excited to get there. I don't know when I'll get there. I don't even know if I'll get there.
Have you met the people that will take you there?
I've got a quest.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I've met the people that'll take me there, but I've got multiple quests that seem to imply, like, it's level 25 quests that I had since the start of the game.
Oh okay. Oh maybe.
Okay.
That were, I think, heavily implied to be.
Because you go meet these people and they're like emissaries from this other land. But it's cool. Like the other land is real. It's like I don't know, like a Spanish Italian kind of vibe place.
Okay.
Like
That's cool.
like a real Mediterranean vibe.
Nice.
Like villas on the hills and wine fields and
It's called Blood and Wine, so that makes sense.
yeah, good. Yeah. Makes sense. Does make sense. Yeah.
And there's the wine,
And there's lots of
the
blood.
wine and the blood.
So much blood.
Well, did we just get like a Trump impression?
What?
Never mind. All right.
Best blood.
So much blood. Blood for days, folks. I don't. That's not. I have. That. Don't cut that. Cut that out.
Blood
Like,
for
cut that out.
days.
Cut that out. All right. Well, we'll be back in a couple weeks. Probably.
Couple weeks, I think.
Yeah.
Email frenzyquestions@gmail.com. What was that?
Oh no, I don't think I'll be here in a couple of weeks.
We'll be back in 3 weeks.
Yep.
Yep. Probably.
Um,
then.
Email frenzyquestions@gmail.com, and that you can say, Paul, why?
Yeah.
Paul, why aren't you going to be here in a couple weeks?
No,
No, don't tell us. Don't tell us. No.
Just full time.
Yeah. Okay.
Quit.
Yeah, he'll be playing Balatro. Email him, and you might find out. We might find out. We might not. Paul's a mystery.
Probably just going to the gym. Playing Balatro.
Yeah, he's probably. We'll be back at some point. Thanks for listening, and we hope to hear from you. Bye. Put it on the table, right?
No. Do you want the table moved closer?
Yeah. Where's the table?
Yeah.
This?
Yeah.
The cardboard box?
Yeah.
The cardboard box with the cutting board?
Yeah. That's a
That's
table.
the table?
That's a table. That's a table.
Like, love you, buddy.
It's a. I'm not spending money. I'm not spending good money on a table. when a breadboard. I got a.
The funny thing is,
it's
it's
the cutting board
actually
that-
the perfect size.
Yeah.
And if you got anything else, like it would be impossible to find something with a similar form factor.
I mean, I think a bedside table would be quite similar in terms of height and size.
Yeah, I've also got a cardboard box as my bedside table.
Oh my god! Like,
But I need to buy a
I'm not sure if you
breadboard.
knew this, but they sell tables.
I need a well.
You don't
Well,
have
they
to
sell
make-
breadboards as well because that breadboard that is perfect for it's perfect. I've looked at bedside tables and I'm like, none of them are just as basic as that. Like, what? It's perfect. Why am I buying a bedside?
It's perfect.
Yeah, just don't get it wet.
What? Yeah, I was gonna say, what happens if someone spills something?
Yeah, just don't spill anything on it.
But as long as you spill it only on a coffee, that